G'day and welcome, my name's Cautious Pancake, and today is the first episode in a new series in Aska, a village-themed survival game with more of a focus on building and settlement management rather than direct combat, but one that since I picked up a copy, I've struggled to put down. It's been in early access for a bit over a year now, and has seen numerous and regular content additions over that time, so I figured it was time to grab a copy and jump on in. Just going to set the seed here, so that anyone that wants to play along can, and we've gone with the Chris Hemsworth long blonde locks and a lovely little Viking beard. You'll see that we're starting off on a new island after being shipwrecked. Got this big fella who isn't particularly happy with us, but thankfully buggers off. See you, pal. And our job now is to establish a settlement on this new island. Get lots of villagers in, summon them in, using the Jotun blood blue stones that we just picked up. And to get started, we're going to need to grab a whole bunch of reeds. Now, I have played a little bit of this before, and one of the things that I've been reading about as well is that a lot of players will suggest potentially scouting around for good locations for your base to make sure that they're near resources that you'll need, all the usual business that you want to do in a survival game. But for this playthrough, we're going to ignore all that advice. We're going to just jump straight into grabbing everything we need and building right here next to the beach where we started. I figured that's because most players that are new to the game are going to do exactly the same thing, just like I did on my first sort of foray into the game. But I'll also be trying to give a few tips and tricks along the way. First of which is you're going to need lots of rope. Particularly in the early game, rope is the sort of thing that at least I've found that I'm always running into shortages of. Rope to begin with, and then thatch thereafter. And because thatch only exists down near the beach, you do want to have a location when you first start building that's near enough to a beach that you can pick up thatch whenever you need it. Mr. Wisp here does give us a little bit of a tip as to what we need to be doing. And the first thing is we need to be building a campfire, or at least a simple fire to start with. You can see also the tips on these prompts tell us that if we want to build a shelter layer, we have to build a campfire first. And it also tells us on the instructions what things will upgrade to as we go. To summon in extra villagers, you need this Eye of Odin, which we need to have built a shelter first. You can also build weapons and other bits and pieces first. I like that the game doesn't overload you with choice right at the beginning. It's fairly restricted so that you don't have to wade through 50 million options to figure out what you need to do. See, I'm a little bit short still on stones and sticks, but because I've made the pickaxe already, we can smash down this small stone clump. Because it is a survival game, you've got to start with smashing down stones and chopping down trees. It wouldn't be a survival game really without that, would it? You can use E to pick up as well as T to pick up everything in the nearby area. It's not quite as wide as I'd maybe personally like for the picking up all, but you know, it is what it is, and I can see that they don't want you to just pick up everything in a 50-meter radius. Using the resource highlighter is what gives us the yellow glow over objects. And I can't seem to pick up that bird's nest, which things don't generally clip into trees or other objects in this game. The layout is pretty good. That's one of the few sort of buggy clipping issues that I've seen so far. Now we've got a hoe and a hammer, but we don't have yet the knife. Making all of the basic essential tools that we need so that we don't have to worry about grabbing them later. Get all the little sort of achievement pop-ups as we go, but I won't be digging into them too much. They don't really give any significant gameplay benefits that I've seen so far. They do give some cosmetics later on in the game. What I'm doing there to harvest them is holding shift and left clicking. That's what converts them down into fibers. Again, make a bunch of rope. Grab some extra rocks for the sharp stones. Easier to grab them off the beach when there's lots like that. Make up the stone blades, not the sharp stones, I should have said. And need some more sticks. Sticks you can grab through a couple of different ways. Ooh, there's a natural water collector. Those are good for both just grabbing a drink when you get thirsty, but also you can make a well at those locations, which is handy because it makes it from a sort of single-use water source into a multi-use water source that all of your villagers can then stock up and drink at. Now these trees, most of them I'm walking past it because they're too big. They're the big fir trees. We need the young fir tree. It's the only thing that we can chop down with our simple axe at the beginning of the game. You can see there's a few around here. There's another water source. So we've got a few little places. And given that there's lots of sort of flat land around here, it's probably also a pretty good place to start considering building. You can also see that the forest types that we're sitting in, and it's fairly close to the shore still. So we'll chop this down. That gives us a whole bunch of resources, as you can see, including the sticks that we need, some bark, some resin that you can use for lamps and sort of things later on, as well as the logs. Sorry, not logs. Long sticks is the term that you get from the young firs. Logs come from fir trees, which we will need for bigger builds later on. Okay, just need some fibers again. You can get them from a few different ways, either from the thatch from the reeds down to the beach, or from bark, but I'm not going to shred the bark just yet because we're going to need that for construction later. So early on in the game, when there's lots of reeds at the beach, and they do regrow, so you don't need to worry about that. Sort of every season change, I think, possibly other than winter, you'll get some new reeds. We can now build our campfire now that we've shredded some of them. You can see we can put it down on the beach if we want to, but I might pop it up in the trees just a little bit. Where's a good spot? Reason I want it up in the trees a little bit is because that's where we're going to build our bases around the fire. So the closer we are to the trees that we need to chop down, it's probably the better option. So I'll whack this just here. There's our fire, and you can see if you hit Q, I've got rid of it now, but that's what allows you to see what materials you need, place them in there. Okay, upgrading to campfire. Here we go, hit Q again, and you can see the top left. We need 6 small stones and 4 sticks. Grab them from the shrub there. And where else can we get more sticks? There we go. Early on, sticks is another thing that's a resource limitation, but funnily enough, later in the game, sticks are kind of an annoyance because they're everywhere. But for now, we'll smash this down. That should give us most of the stone. There we go, that'll grab us 5 of the things, I think. And we'll take the large stone that comes with it, bring that back, because I'm sure we're going to need that at some point, so we'll just pop him down there. And now we just need 1 more stone, so we'll smash this guy down as well. There we go. That's all the stones we need. Drop him there. Let's just go grab that other stone that we need as well. Might as well keep track of them since I can see it over there. Alright, 1 campfire is now done, which allows us to build the shelter. And a rain collector, but we don't need that just yet, so we'll go the shelter first. Pop that in, and this is where the hoe that we've already crafted comes in handy, because that will allow us to level the terrain under the building that we're making. Do that for the 4 squares, and then that will show up the object that we need. You can see this one needs just a couple of long sticks to begin with, but also has a 1 of 3 in the icon in the top left. That means that there's 3 phases to this build. So we'll start hammering down and building this one. This is the build mechanic. which we have to do ourselves early on because we're the only villager here, but later on you can employ villagers as builders to do all this for you, which is fantastic once you get into it and you get sick of doing it yourself. It's the part of this game that's kind of laid back and relaxed, but once you get all your villagers humming together and doing what they need to do, it's kind of fun. Knock this down, because I'm sure we're going to need some more long sticks in a minute, and we'll be able to get the 5 sticks that come from it. 2 more from here, and then we'll just be 1 stick short. The tree stumps convert to firewood, so there's no point chopping that down, and excuse me while I sit and admire the sunset. So we need 1 more stick, so let's knock this tree down. Oh, and this tree's turned into a doubler. I'm not sure whether that spawns with 2 trees in the one location. I have seen this a few times. It's kind of it's a little bonus if you ask me, because it's just convenient for getting more resources from the one location. There'll be 2 tree stumps there as well. I'm going to knock them out just because we're going to build around this location, so that tree stump's going to be in the way. See, we've got a little injury as you go. You do get splinters and other injuries whilst doing work, just to, you know, keep your health on your toes. I'm going to pop the firewood in the campfire and we can light that on just to give us a little bit of extra light since it's coming into night time. Now we just need to knock this tree down into its component bits so that we can get the last stick that we need. There it is. Make that, and this is phase 2 of 3 almost complete. The speed of build does change as you go through the game depending on your tools that you're using. We're using the slowest and weakest of the hammers. And this is where we need the bark. 4 bark from each of the young firs, so it's why we kept the bark from the original tree. This gives us some extra to use straight away. And once we've finished this, we'll have a complete shelter. Now, shelters are something that you need to have for villagers. They need an assigned place to sleep. You can also use any unassigned ones for yourself to sleep. That's what the quest marker over the top is just saying that this household doesn't have anyone assigned to it. You can see that it only has 1 slot. And obviously dismantle buildings from here and eventually upgrade them, or there's no upgrades currently available. We'll replace them eventually with building longhouses or cottages as we go through the game, but for now that gives us a space for one villager to sleep. So the next step then, get a villager. Won't make any lights just yet. The Jotun blood, I don't know how you say it. I'm going to say it with a J until someone corrects me in the comments below. But this is the summoning stone effectively for the game, so we'll plonk that down. Start grabbing the materials that we need. What do we need? Long sticks. This is why we built this in the forest, so that we don't have far to go, since we have to do all the construction ourselves at this point of the game. More sticks needed. At night time when they show up really clearly, it's easy to sort of go around and grab the sticks from the bushes. And then grab our small stones, grab the large stone, and plonk that back. You can also pick up things while you're carrying big heavy bits and pieces, whether that's logs, long sticks, or large stones. You can still harvest. And yes, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Our little tutorial wisp is telling us to make the summoning stone. Need some sticks now. Grab this one and one of them just a little bit further out. I'm leaving all the gathering sort of birds' nests and berries and other bits and pieces for the most part, but you can see if I grab this one, I'll get a couple of feathers, or 5 feathers and an egg. We can eat the egg raw if we need to for a bit of food. By left clicking on it like that, that'll keep us going for a little while. Since we're a little bit thirsty, I'll grab a drink from over here as well. Grab some extra sticks here too. You never have too many of them early on in the game. But yes, I'm leaving the gathering stuff for later on when we actually have a dedicated gatherer, so that they can run around and do all that picking up of things. We don't need to waste our time doing it when someone's going to do it for us. Okay, just need some stones now. One of the reasons we had them all here is they're always going to come in handy. Knock this out. And then we should be able to get a villager. There we go. So, opening this one up. Oop, that shows the upgrade option. Eventually you can upgrade that, but we need 3 villagers before we can do that. The game gives you 5 of the Bloods of Jotun at the beginning, so we can kick them off. Let's just check what we're supposed to be doing with the Wisp, and that is correct. We are supposed to be getting in another villager. So we activate that, and then what you want to do is have a look at the perks that they have. So this guy's got improved stamina and strength and harvesting, so he's going to be good at a farm. Soggy discomfort, he doesn't like the rain, and battle scarred veteran with extra health. So I don't want people with negative traits wherever I can avoid it. So even though I don't really want a farmer early on, I'm going to take the guy that doesn't get unhappy every time it rains, because in the wet seasons it is going to be raining a lot, and you don't want villagers with poor happiness caused by things that you can't control. So just looking through all the things that we can build, you can see that we can't build any of them, but we have now opened up basic production: woodcutter's pit, stonecutter's pit, and gatherer's hut. So starting off with the woodcutter's pit, because that is the thing that we're going to need most of as we go through, is lots and lots of sticks, wood, all the bits and pieces. Get this one chopped up since it's a little bit in the way. You can build on top of resources that are sitting on the ground. It will just bump them out of the way, or a little bit on top of the building that you're about to put. So we can put that there, but kind of just want it somewhere close to all the trees lined up with all the other buildings. There's no sort of snap to grid or anything like that in this game. I don't know whether I like that or I don't like that, to be honest. I'm still kind of on the fence of that part, but you whack down your building, you use the hoe to level the ground. Again, if you had builders dedicated in your village, they'd do all this for you. But for now, early game, it's kind of a little bit different. You do it all yourself, which gets you used to all of the build mechanics that villagers can take over for you later. Just going to take a quick nap here for 2 reasons. One, it'll just get that little bit of health back. Don't desperately need it, just to sort of show you what happens when you have a sleep. You can see that in the shelter the recovery rate is really, really slow for health, but it also gives us that energized boost, which just makes our stamina recover a little bit more. If we're going to be doing lots of tree chopping, mining, carrying, running around, that just helps a little bit. That's all the long sticks that we need. How many little sticks do we have sitting around here? Tree chopped down. There should be... Oh, we might go to them all. I was going to say there's usually 5, but there were 6 this time, so that was good. Okay, that was just a single phase build, so that's nice. There's no resin holders, I think, this early on in the woodcutter's pit. There's stick storage, bark storage, so we can pop that there, thatch storage, and long stick storage. So that's all there is kind of at the moment. Can't store resin or anything like that just yet. As we upgrade, there'll be more of those sorts of things. Now I want to build the water well, but we need to have first made a rain collector, but right now our first villager is here. You can see he's homeless at the moment. We've got the 2 perks. The third one is Night Shadow, which is actually a really bad one and annoying one to have, because this guy is going to be happier at night and working at night rather than the day. He's also a fisherman and a retired bowman. That just affects the ability for them to rank up and skill up as they're fishing and using a bow and arrow. You can see we've got lots of problems with our village as well, but we can deal with those later. For the first thing we want to do now is just assign him to a shelter so that he's got somewhere to sleep. Since we've summoned him at night, he's just going to go straight and have a lie down. And then we're going to assign him to the woodcutter's pit, just because we need someone to go and chop the wood for us while we do other things. From here, this is just basically saying, you're on your own, go figure stuff out, you'll be right, don't worry about it, mate. I love those sorts of good luck, have fun kind of messages in the tutorial. From here, I think we need to make the stonecutter's pit and the gatherer's pit. I'm going to go gatherer's pit second because that's going to go and get food. Food is important. In a survival game, you need people going and getting food for us, because I'm not going to spend the time, like I said earlier, I'm not going to spend the time going and getting food for everyone, so we need to make this gatherer's pit and then assign someone to it so that they go off and collect berries and eggs and other basic early game stuff that will allow our villagers to not starve. Again, you can see why I sort of started the construction in the forest, but close to the beach still. Means that we can just sort of grab these things all around us. And there we go, we've made it to day 2. Haven't died just yet, which is always a plus. Haven't had to fight anything just yet, which is also kind of unusual. Normally you get weird little bugs hanging around the beach in particular, but so far, possibly because we're so close to the early game starting position, maybe we haven't had any. As you can see, we're short on rope once again, so go and grab some thatch, convert that to fibres, turn it into rope, and then come back, put that in place. Alright, there's our 5 rope. One more than we need. We just need 3 sticks now. And okay, materials in place. Give it a whack, and we should have a gatherer's pit. There we go. Got no one to work at it just yet, so we're going to need to start to think about getting some extra blue stones. There's our lumberjack off chopping down some trees for us. Since I'm a little bit hungry, I will just grab some occasional bird's nest to keep the eggs, and here's what I'm looking for. Small dirt and blood shard. Since it's early game, we can't hammer and pickaxe big ones. Oh, there goes a deer. So we're going to find these small shards. They'll give us 1 to 2 of the dirt and bloods each. And it's not until we can make a slightly bigger pickaxe that we'll then be able to harvest up the bigger formations. But if we can get 5 of these, at worst we'll get 5 of the dirt and bloods and be able to summon in somebody else to work at our gatherer's pit. Might as well take this back while we're here so we don't lose track of them. Pop that there. See that our lumberjack is going around and grabbing some bark to put into the woodcutter's pit. While we're waiting here, just pop down a rain collector, mainly because I want to get moving on that well. Now that we've got villagers, they need to drink, so we need to make sure that there's plenty of liquids for them. And since our lumberjack's been filling this up, we can just come and grab what we need straight from there, which is so much better than having to go and chop down trees whenever you need to make something. I'm not sure whether he will have got around to stocking up the long sticks, but there's one here. We can take that one. And because he's got an assigned job, he's not going to help build the things. We need to leave villagers unassigned. It's a she, sorry. There you go. Thanks, love. One more long stick needed. So while she's off doing that, we can always just come and chop this one down. You can always help out your villagers by doing things yourself. Actually, that wasn't a small one, so I'm going to have to run around and see if we can find where's a good More fur. There it is. Ooh, small Jotun bloodshard. Might as well grab that while we're here. We'll do the tree on the way back. You can hear the deer close by, which is good. Means that when we start to get into needing to feed the villagers, which is something that we'll rapidly need to worry about, we can get maybe a hunter around to start to hunt down some of those deer and get the meat. Early on, you've got kind of 3 options for food. You've got, well, 4 options really. Gathering, which is what you'll start with right at the beginning of the game. Then you've got hunting and fishing in the middle, and farming, of course. So for this one, I'm probably going to try and focus maybe just on the hunting and the farming and leave the fishing out of it. But we can always do fishing as well if we want to. Now, I was going to say I was going to go chop down that tree, but she's got another long stick in there for me, so we don't have to. That's the advantage of using the villagers. It just speeds things up, gets things all automated, and you can just concentrate on making the changes to the village that you want to do. Okay, that's our rain collector, which should also mean now that we can make the water well. Needs stone and sticks. That just goes straight on top of one of those water features and changes it from a single use to a 50 use well. The wells have 50 water in them, and they do automatically restock over time as well, so means that we can just allow the village to grow and use that as our main water source. It's also used for watering crops at the farm, so, and also used in cooking. So always good to have a well nearby your village, or at least one. Having more than one well is sometimes useful. Otherwise you can put in a bunch of rain collectors, but it's a little less consistent in terms of usage. Okay, just some more sticks to go. So for the last of the sticks, let's knock down some trees, and we'll finish off the well once we've done that. Okay, one tree and a few sticks later, we should have enough for our well. And as you can see, that now has 50 water resources in it, so we can take a drink or refill our water pouch. And now we just need 3 more Jotun bloods. They're found pretty much everywhere across the island, at least as far as I've seen so far. So it's going to be worth having a run along the shoreline here, and while we do that, let's get some more of the ever-required thatch, at least in the early game. Once we can get a farm going, we'll change up how we go about getting our thatch, but for now, ooh, mussels. Also a good early game food resource option. You can see there, that's one of the bigger Jotun blood options that needs the larger two-handed pickaxe for us to be able to harvest those, so I can't do them just yet. Okay, here's a nice small one. Grab that one. Okay. Ooh, there's a nice stack of deer right there. And some berries. Let's grab them and then grab another Jotun blood. If we're lucky, we'll get a twofer, and then that means that that's the only one that we need to be able to get our next villager. There we go, twofer. 2 of those. Grab them. Grab the onion. Grab the large stone. We'll take that back, bringing in someone new to work the gatherer's pit. Now, you can also talk to all of your villagers and give them equipment as well as food. So I thought maybe I'd just give this villager some berries. Since we don't have a gatherer's pit, I don't want her to starve to death while we're getting things up and running. So you can see she goes straight away and eats that. They will carry food around in their inventory typically, and keep it for when they get hungry. What have we got? A green thumb and an angler, so farming and fishing, or winter resilience and daylight. I might take, well, either one of them is going to be good. I said I wasn't going to have a fisher, but green thumb could be good, but also winter resilience. Much of a muchness, but we'll eventually have a farm, so I'll take the green thumb option in case we don't get that on anybody else. They're always good to work on farms to increase crop yields. They'll also need somewhere to live, so we'd better make them a shelter, hey? Pop that in there. Not worrying too much at this stage about how things look or where things are placed, because these early shelters I tend to pull down again once I've got the cottages. So pop them in here, but it's full. Our lumberjack's been doing a really good job at stocking that place up. Let's get the firewood onto the campfire. Light that up just so we've got a bit of extra light. We don't need it for heat just yet. You will need it for winter when it does start to get cold, but early on in the game you don't need to worry about the cold, just in the winter month. There you go. And the villager there, you can see, has got their quest marker above their head because something's wrong and they're blocked. They don't tend to come up to you unless that is the case. In this case, they can't do any more lumberjacking because the storage is full. So at that point, you can either unassign them from their role if you've got something else you want them to work on, or you can just leave them, knowing that as soon as you start grabbing resources out of their assigned station, they're going to start filling it back up again automatically. So now that I've pulled that log, they would start adding more new ones, except that they've got to the end of their workday and it's time for them to relax. So she's off to sit around the campfire and then go to sleep. Which is probably a good spot for us to leave it as well. I'm going to finish knocking together this station here and then maybe work on something else overnight. We'll work out what that is in a minute. Probably the stonecutter's pit, but otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of my future videos. Massive thanks to my patrons for their support. Thanks to you for watching, and enjoy being chief of your village.